is child abuse? Signs, effects, and the facts. I want to just tell y'all some stuff about it. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Resources defines child abuse as any recent act or failure to act on the part of a parent or caretaker which results in death, serious physical or emotional harm, sexual abuse or exploitation, or any act or failure to act which presents an imminent risk of serious harm. This information that I have collected was from the two different sites from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Resources and the Baltimore Police Department. According to the Baltimore Police Department, 84% of the inmates in prison were abused as children, and a parent or close relative was responsible for the abuse. They also reported that in 2006, there were over 905,000 victims of child abuse. The police department also reported that if there are 4 or more children in the household and the household is crowded, there is a higher risk of child abuse to occur. There are many signs of the different categories of child abuse that we should notice. The Baltimore Police Department has also reported the following signs of emotional, physical, and sexual child abuse. Emotional. The children who doesn't care, children who suffers from depression, who won't take part in school or play activities, children who loses their appetite, and a child who overeats compulsively. Physical abuse includes bruises or whelps shaped like an object like a belt buckle, bruises in unusual places like on the back, eyes, or mouth, layers of different colored bruises in the same general places, sock or glove, burns on feet or in hands, donut-shaped burns which could be from forcing child into the hot water, cigarette burns, burns in the shape of a big object like an iron, tool, or a heater, rope burns, adult-sized bite marks, and suspicious fractures which the doctors and nurses are trained to recognize. Sexual abuse includes antisocial attitudes, a child who refuses to undress for educational sports, unusually seductive behavior, and a child who has a fear of hugging people or has a fear of intimate contact. According to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Resources, there are 4 categories of effects of child abuse. Physically, psychologically, behavior problems, and societal problems. The first one is physical health problems. One example of that is the baby shaking syndrome, which is basically shaking a baby, but it may not be noticeable, but can include bleeding in the eye of the brain, damage to the spinal cord and neck, and rib or bone fractures. Psychological includes difficulties during infancy. Depression and withdrawal symptoms were common among children as young as 3 who experienced emotional, physical, and environmental neglect. Behavior problems is another effect. Teen pregnancy, mental health problems, low academic achievement, and drug usage can happen to adolescents. It was reported that it is more than likely of 2.7 times more of children to be arrested for violence as an adult, and 3.1 times more to be arrested for 1 or more forms of violent crime. As many as 2/3 of people being in drug programs reported being abused as children, and 1/3 of abused children will grow up and victimize their own children. Societal problems include direct and indirect costs. Direct is that in 2001, the U.S. DHHR reported that every year over $24 billion is spent on children, and indirect, over $69 billion is spent a year. The indirect represents long-term economic consequences of child abuse. Children that is being abused go through a lot more if we know it or not. Some signs are visible and some aren't. The 3 sites that I have used were clearly understandable. I learned a lot about child abuse just looking at these. And when I feel that a child is being abused, I want to report it. But I don't, because I don't want stuff to happen to the child knowing that it's better for them. To me, it is hard to know and see what a child is going through by getting abused. I wonder if the parents even think of what if they were in the same situation, what would happen to them. And I have a few slides here showing some pictures of child abuse. This one just says some facts about it. There's a little girl getting abused with her 2 eyes black. And them are the signs of emotional child abuse. the physical abuse, and the sexual abuse. This is a little child, was abused by her and got hurt in her eye. This is the effects, and a girl who was beaten in the eye again. This is someone that was squeezing a little girl, which resulted in child abuse. And this just says, stop the child abuse and report it. 4 children die every day as a result of child abuse, and a report of child abuse is made every 10 seconds. Help end the fight against child abuse.